All right, a lot factually incorrect there. Nathan Zagura alongside the voice of your Cleveland Browns, Jim Donovan. We are not at the Cross Country Mortgage Campus in Berea. We are at the Greenbrier in West Virginia, and in just about an hour and 50 minutes, the first training camp practice of the Cleveland Browns 2024 season will take place on the fields right in front of us. We will be here at the Greenbrier until next Friday. So lots of content for you. Don't look at me like that, Gibby. Lots of content for you.
Not this Friday.
Not this Friday.
Not this Friday.
A week from Friday. A week from Friday. Jim, great to be with you. We flew in early this morning, and here we go.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here. I was not here and part of this last year, but this is great. It really is.
You know, it's an interesting experience. I'm excited you're going to get an opportunity this year to experience, being here and kind of just the fact that it forces this team to come together. They are around each other basically 24/7 for the next 8 or 9 days. And you talked to the players last year about it. To a man, they thought it had a lot to do with the chemistry and the team's ability to stay together and overcome adversity. And the Browns are hoping that they can have a repeat of that.
Yeah, well, Nathan, that's what I was kind of wondering. What made it so effective last year that, it was a foregone conclusion that they would come back this year, and here they are. And the fact of the matter is, there was a point where I think the Browns thought maybe we're not as together as a team needs to be. So how do we solve that? And you solve it by kind of being together. And here we are. We are together here. And I know that was the big point last year that, there was nowhere to go. You were kind of with your teammates, and you were with them on the practice field, and you were with them, for the rest of the night. You were playing shuffleboard with them and things like that. So, I think it was a real bonding experience.
Yeah, and that's what the players say. And obviously, Andrew Berry in his time with, in other organizations, they would go. We spent time, obviously, with the Colts, with the Eagles. They would go away for a period of time and kind of have that unity together, and that's certainly what he was looking for here. And you're exactly right. This was a team whose locker room now is as close-knit as any I've seen. And we were joking while we were in there having lunch. Like this defensive line room, they're all back. They all wanted to come back. They all wanted to be together. And guess what? They sit together and have lunch. They're inseparable. It's like best friends, and they're certainly enjoying it.
Yeah, they have a whale of a time with each other.
Yes.
And that's pretty cool. And, that will play out, everybody. That will play out onto the field.
We certainly hope so. Now, not only is this great bonding for them, but, a little peek behind the curtain, Jim, myself, and the great Gibbe are sharing a cottage, so I expect our performance this radio season to be even better than it's been in the past. All the bonding. Gibbe's, I don't know if he's could ever possibly be more sick of me than he will be by next Friday.
So I pull in yesterday, and you have to check in at the guard shack. We drove down, and they give me a pink placard for the vehicle, and I'm like, oh, different color this year. And I pull up to the hotel, and they're like, you're not staying here. I go, oh, I just drove 6 hours.
I am staying here.
I am staying here.
As a matter of fact, I am.
I'm here for a while.
Yeah. You're not getting rid of me that easy.
And they're like, no, you're in a cottage. And I'm like, excuse me?
A cottage?
Yeah.
I said, who's in the cottage with me? And they're like, we don't know the answer to that. I'm like, okay, we're going to need to know what that looks like. So when I checked in, they were like, Mr. Sugura and Mr. Donovan. And I was like, oh, perfect. We'll be great.
Gibbe fired off a text to me last night. He's like, we're in a cottage. And I'm like, let's go. Giddy up.
We have a gorgeous front porch.
Beautiful.
At the cottage.
Yeah.
Huh? I mean, it's like a movie.
I'll be out there. I'll be out there later on this evening.
And, To Kill a Mockingbird or something along those lines. I mean, it is a beautiful porch.
It is.
Yeah.
Big, spacious. We're going to have a lot of time out there. We're going to have a lot of time inside. We're able to take in a little bit of the Olympics. And then every day, in the early afternoon, we're going to get to come in and see this Cleveland Browns football team. And, we haven't seen them on the field yet. And the last time we did see them on the field was back in early June for the mandatory minicamp. But just kind of even being in there seems to be an energy from the coaches to be back, from the players to be back and around each other. And that, there's a sense that some work needs to be done, and you love to see your quarterback, Deshaun Watson, fully cleared, walking in a Bernie Kosar throwback
how about
jersey.
that? Yeah, and a Bernie K jersey. Yeah, number 19.
Yeah.
And looking well. I'm, wearing it very, very well. There aren't many new faces.
No.
Really. I mean, they it's kind of like getting together first day of school, but you know everybody that's in your class.
I would say amongst the 53, not many new faces, as is the way of the National Football League. When you get down to roster spots 75 to 90, you're going to have a little bit of churn. But you're exactly right. The principal players on this team, and you and I were joking about it. What's at stake here, right?
Yeah.
Who the starting right tackle is going to be, whether
Right.
it will be DeWand and we won't see Jack Conklin yet or Jed Wills yet. They are both on the PUP coming off of their knee injuries to start camp, but as soon as they get cleared, they can resume practicing immediately. Who's the third tight end going to be? If there is a third tight end, who's going to be the Sam linebacker for the 6 to 8 snaps a game? We have 3 linebackers on the field.
Right.
I mean,
because we play
other than
two,
everything is known.
and we play 2 of them a lot, right?
Yeah, and at times we play 1 when we play our dime package with Rodney McLeod as the third safety out there. So it is a very interesting camp. I said this on the show yesterday that this is the quietest offseason I can remember. And the one thing that was potentially looming out there, right, the Amari Cooper situation, was resolved prior to getting here.
Yeah, which I was very happy about.
Yes.
And my daughter, Megan, was also. She named her dog Cooper,
Love
okay,
it.
and was fretting because, oh, my God, am I going to have to rename the dog? What if he doesn't come in and sign? I said, oh, come on. I'll pick up the phone. I'll call Andrew Berry. We'll get this thing done.
Yeah.
And they got it done the other day. So Cooper is ready to go. That's great.
And it is.
And you don't need that, Nathan. That can linger. It can become bad.
Yes.
It can become a real problem if it lingers and goes in and guys are here, but they're not, participating.
Yes.
That's the new way of doing it right now.
Right.
They
A
come
hold in.
Sure.
It's a hold in. We're seeing Brandon
Didn't
Ayuk doing that.
Didn't Kareem Hunt do it a little bit?
A little
one
bit,
year?
yes,
Yeah.
he did.
Yeah.
And so, right. That's not what you want to see. And I saw something earlier today, which I'm trying to pull up right now from SpotTrack about the Amari Cooper extension and what that means for Amari and what it means for the Cleveland Browns as well. And really what they've done is freed up about $14, $15 million in cap space this year.
Okay.
And put it forward to next year. So he will have a big cap hit next year. But for this year, they were able to lower his cap number. They guaranteed his money, and he's happy. They're happy. And it would obviously another opportunity for them, if they want, to extend him beyond this season. And so that'll be probably something that we watch either in the offseason or as this season progresses with Amari Cooper, the 7-time Pro Bowler, who is your number 1 receiver coming off of a career year. So I think I'm with you. Very good that was done.
And he is so vital, I think, to what they want to do in the passing game.
Yes.
And then everybody else, Judy, hopefully, Elijah Moore,
Yes.
Tillman, these kind of guys, they can, pick their points. But I think really, Cooper leads the way. When you need a play, that's who you go to, right?
Absolutely. And his resume speaks for itself. The 1,000-yard seasons, the Pro Bowls. This is from SpotTrack. It says the Browns pushed, and I quote, $22.5 million of Cooper's bonus cap out into 2025, 2026, 2027, and 2028 to lower his current cap hit. If they extend him prior to March, those cap hits can remain spread out. But if the contract voids at a specified date, all $22.5 million of that cap hits the Browns' 2025 salary cap. So basically, he's getting the same money. They're giving it to him guaranteed. They're, for cap purposes, spreading it out. But the accounting will either come due this year, next year, or if they extend him, over the course of those extensions. But, Amari, Judy, Elijah, Tillman, you're talking about it. Chief, you think about Amari first-rounder, Judy first-rounder. Elijah Moore was a second pick, I think, of the second round. You've got David Njoku first-rounder. Our 11 personnel grouping has a lot of elite talent, premium talent from premium places.
Yeah. This is today, for instance, in the next couple of days, kind of a ramp-up.
Yes.
Would you say? Kind of a ramp-up?
We're not going to see pads for a while. Jim, this is going to be the Greenbrier. They say it's sleepy time down south. This is going to be a slow ease into any activity.
Right.
It'll be some walkthroughs. Then we'll maybe get some 7-on-7s. And by the end of next week, then we'll probably see something that resembles football.
Yeah, and then we get back home.
And then we get
back home to Berea, and, then our fans will get a chance to see what we got. Right?
Yeah, well, we got.
And it's game week.
And it'll be game week, right. So our first preseason game at home against Green Bay is August the 10th, so 2 weeks from Saturday.
Yeah.
So it's coming. And then you got Green Bay. You got joint practice right out of that. You
Yeah.
got joint practices with the Vikings
yeah.
game, and then
Yeah.
we're all looking forward to a trip to the Pacific Northwest for the
How about that?
preseason finale.
I'm going to try to throw fish at the fish market.
Really?
Well,
That's
wanna
your
try to
goal?
do
you know,
that.
I think they.
I wanna do that.
I think they allow that. Yeah.
Let's
I want
do
to
it.
put
Is
the
that a-
suspenders on. I want
is
to
that
throw the fish.
that's a bucket list kind
I
of
just
thing?
think it's always cool.
Yeah.
And we always go to the Pacific Northwest the day
Yeah.
before.
This-
Well, now we're going to have a few days.
This is the it's the year of checking things off your bucket list.
We
so
will be home
I'd
by
like
the time we open against Dallas.
I think.
Will we be back home by then?
I don't know. I don't know. Well, we'll
Now,
be
last
flying through the night.
season, I remember talking with you about this during the preseason last year. But last season, there was a lot of, there was the practices in Philly.
Yep.
There was coming here.
Yep.
Then we had to go to Kansas City,
Yep.
right, to play. We were on the road. You guys were on
The
the road much
entire
more
time.
than me, but we were on the road an awful lot.
Yeah, and so it'll be nice this year because
Yeah.
when we get back, you're basically home until we leave for Seattle, which is great. Then you'll come back from that. You'll be home again through
Right.
the holiday weekend, and
Yeah.
then you open at home, as we all know,
Right.
against the Dallas Cowboys. But, yeah, last year it was wild. And you think about carry it into the season, then you have a week in Los Angeles. I mean,
Right.
we were
That's right.
gone
Yeah, yeah.
for big chunks
That
of
was
time.
the Denver Rams
Yep.
combo deal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
The coming of Joe Flacco. Was it?
It absolutely
The
was.
coming of
We
Joe
went to
Flacco.
UCLA.
You went out to Pauley Pavilion
Yeah.
or, outside of there.
Right outside of Pauley Philly.
In
We were right
Westwood?
next to it.
We
Yeah.
were right next to it.
That's
And
a
then
beautiful,
I
beautiful
remember
place.
calling, I think it was, maybe I was doing talk to Bo, and I was like, Flacco's legit. I'm like, this guy looks unbelievable. I remember I asked a couple of the coaches, I'm like, am I seeing this right? And they're like, oh, yeah, this is the guy. And Flacco fever was born on that trip. So
Yeah.
no doubt, and it's amazing as you talked about how much stays the same, but there have been some changes. You mentioned the quarterback position there. Back Deshaun Watson, obviously, healthy. Back DTR, but in comes Jameis Winston.
Wow.
In comes Snoop Huntley. Both of them have been Pro Bowl quarterbacks in this league. Jameis with Tampa and New Orleans, and then obviously Huntley, who spent his career with Baltimore. So that'll be interesting. How do you work four guys in? Because the one with the least experience, DTR, is probably the one you want to get some reps to.
Yeah. Now, remember, we here in Cleveland, we have seen Huntley a couple of times
Yep.
as a Raven quarterback. And I was mentioning this this morning with Nathan. There was one time where he came very close to beating us. We had
Yes.
a big lead in that game and didn't recover the onside kick at the end of the game. And, got a big sack. I think Miles
I
got
still have
Miles got a
PTSD
very
from
big,
not recovering
yeah,
onside
Miles
kicks.
Garrett got a big sack right at the end of the game, or Clowney, and we ended up kind of surviving that game.
Yeah.
I think Miles had a scoop and score in that game for a touchdown.
That was the scoop
Yeah,
and score
yeah.
for Myles Garrett. You're right. That was, yes. I still, whenever I hear we don't recover the onside kick, I just think about the Jets game and Joe Flacco. We've had too many mentions.
Stop
in,
it.
Oh, man. That was nightmarish, to say the very, very least.
Right.
But, yeah, you've got now a lot of experience in that quarterback room. You've got guys who have been together before. And I think Jameis Winston, and I'm excited to see him out here. I'm excited to hear him out here because you will hear him. He is a guy that can understand, I think, some of the trials and tribulations Deshaun went through.
Yeah.
Was a big-time college quarterback, #1 overall pick, led the league in passing a few years ago with over 5,000 yards. So he gets it. And I remember when he first interviewed him, Jim, he said, I'm here to help serve Deshaun Watson and help him be the best that he can be. And I thought
Right.
that was such a positive attitude, but also a guy who certainly has a lot of talent in his own right.
Very pleasant guy.
Very
I
pleasant
mean, very,
guy.
very
yes.
happy guy.
Pure
you know,
energy.
Spreading a message that I think is interesting to to hear,
Yep.
and will be interesting here. And I don't know, he just seems like he has an awful lot of fun.
He has a ton of fun, and you talk to the guys here, and it's basically Jameis is always on. He is always having a good time.
Yeah.
And they love being around him. And so those are kind of the things. What is cool about this experience, and this year, I don't think they're bringing a lot of people in. It is going to be just about the team, about the people here on the staff that are able to be here, some of
Right.
the media that'll be here. But you really get a chance to see the guys. You run into them in the hotel. You get to talk to them out
Right.
here. You're just all kind of around each other. You get a feel for the personalities. And, Jameis and a guy like Jordan Hicks, some of the new players that are in roles that are more important perhaps than, some others. Backup quarterback, obviously a very important role, and then now our starting Mike linebacker, who is really the quarterback of the defense. You really get a sense of these guys and see how they fit in and get to feel that as close as you can be to these fields here.
It's always that will be an interesting fit on that defense.
Oh, yeah.
It was so good for so many games last year, and you just wonder how can it improve, and can somebody come in here and really help it improve, and you hope that Hicks can be that kind of a player. He has that kind of lineage, I think.
Oh, yeah, and he's a star.
Yeah.
He's a guy that people in the state of Ohio, Lakota West, are familiar with for years and years and years. I was talking to somebody, and they're like, I've heard Jordan Hicks' name since I was in high school.
Right.
5 straight seasons with more than 100 tackles, Jim. He had 150 in 19, 118 in 20, 116 in 21, 129 in 22, and then last year in 13 games he had 107. He's a guy who's very good in coverage. He's got, over the last 5 seasons, 6 interceptions in the league. He's got 20 passes defense the last 3 years. He's been a captain. He's played for Jim Schwartz in Philadelphia.
Very important.
On that Super Bowl team in 2017. So the Browns are very excited about being able to get him, and I think that he gives – we haven't had a 5 straight 100-tackle linebacker. Probably the last time we had a guy who had a couple in a row would have probably been Christian Kirksey.
Yeah.
But he brings
Maybe
that
Tequila,
kind of leadership.
Tequila
even going back from
exactly. Yeah.
But it's been a while since we've had a Mike linebacker with that kind of pedigree. All 3 downs, can play the run, can play the pass, and can get everybody cleaned up and lined up.
Yeah. And the fact that he played for Jim –
yes, knows
right
the
away,
defense.
Perfect fit. Get in there. You know what you're doing, and you know the deal, and that's going to really help things out. It will
no doubt
accelerate things, I think, right away. And that's very, very important.
I can say he very impressive, very charismatic, clearly a natural leader as well in my time around him. And now that linebacker room, we talked about a lot of familiar faces. That's the one room where you really had a few familiar faces and guys that you and I enjoyed getting to know, enjoyed talking to, always were great whenever you got a chance to interview them or be around them, and that's Anthony Walker and Sione Takitaki. And you hate to lose guys like that. That's the nature of the league, though.
The hard part about Walker, Nathan, is that he lost so much time, with injury, and he wanted to be such a leader here.
He was.
And he was a leader.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's a very difficult thing to do when you're injured.
Yeah.
But Takitaki was just a great player. Great kid. Would run through and did. He would run through a wall for you, and he would, and he did. And there were times where he made very, very big plays at very big moments in very, very critical points in games.
Yeah, and so those are the 2 that are out, and then into that room, Jordan Hicks, and then Devin Bush, former first-round pick of the Pittsburgh Steelers out of the University of Michigan, and he unfortunately suffered a big knee injury against us, actually back in 2020. And, he was a 100-tackle guy his rookie year. Not the biggest linebacker, but in this scheme, it's more about speed and ability to flow the ball, and he certainly can do that.
Yeah, that's right. I remember he did get hurt against the Browns. I reflect back on that.
In a very ugly game for the Cleveland Browns. That was one I'm sure you were happy to be not in Pittsburgh for. I was there, not pleased.
Yeah,
yes.
Absolutely. Well, here we go, and this is going to be a lot of fun. It really is. They are really dialed in on what they did last year and what they want to do this year, and I think that's very, very important. I don't get the impression at all that they're resting on laurels or on, hey, we went 11-5, 11-6, I know, but that last one was a throwaway. But the taste of that playoff game, I think, is really in their it
lingers.
System right now.
Yeah, this is a team that, when you talk to them, you hear unfinished business.
Yeah.
We felt like coming out of that Baltimore game that we were on a trajectory that could have led to, football immortality, right? Winning the division, winning the AFC, winning the Super Bowl. They felt that they could do that, and then by that following Wednesday, it was ripped away in the sense that Deshaun Watson was out for the year, and yet this team rallied. And so what they want is an opportunity to all be together again and hopefully stay healthy. And, it's funny, we were talking, what are we here to really see? The answer is Not much. There aren't a lot of position battles. There aren't a lot of things up for grabs. You want to see it look good, but this is a team that's going to be all about what happens starting against the Dallas Cowboys and hopefully into February because it's all there. Anybody with any eyes, you look it on paper, this team's got everything that you need to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah. I think really what it comes down to now is each and every game, there will be a point in the game where the game is sitting right out there on the table, and are you going to be able to take it?
Yep.
The teams that are able to do that are the ones that go into January and then maybe play in February. No doubt about it. Kansas City, San Francisco, New England for all of those years. And I think we are in that class right now. There it is.
On paper.
And,
no
you
doubt.
know, the game is sitting there, and can we go get that football game on that particular day? And I think that's where we are.
Yeah,
that will be the answer.
That one thing we will not be seeing, or I should say maybe 7 guys we will not be seeing, at least on day 1 today, and wanted to get your reaction just on the non-football injury list. Nyheim Hines, as he still comes back from that devastating knee injury that cost him all of 2023. And then Greg Newsome added to that with a hamstring injury, which when you're NFI, that means it occurred away from the Cleveland Browns. And my guess in training to get ready for training camp, he got a hammy. Better now than later. You know what you got in Greg Newsome coming off of, one of the best years of his young career, a couple interceptions, of course, that big pick 6 against the Ravens. But you want to see him out here. And so now what'll be interesting is, does Cam Mitchell slide into that nickel spot right away? Who gets some looks in that nickel spot while Greg is recovering?
Mitchell played very well.
Oh, boy.
In opportunities given to him last year. That Bears game when he came
we
up
don't
with
beat
that,
the Bears.
Yeah, when he came up with that big stop of Justin Fields. I mean, that was an amazing play that really.
Like a 4th and 1, right?
That was it. Yeah, 4th and about an inch. And he made that play. Greg is not here.
Yeah.
And hopefully he'll get better. Like you said, better now than deeper into the preseason where all of a sudden you're losing a month of the regular season.
Absolutely. You want to get these things in and get them right. And don't feel a need to rush back. You want Greg Newsome to get all the reps that he can, but, you kind of remember Juan Thornhill with that calf, and it just ended up lingering with him for the entirety of the season. On the physically unable to perform list, you've got the guys coming back from injuries, Jack Conklin, Jed Wills, Nick Chubb. Also there, DeAnthony Bell with a shin, and then Dalvin Tomlinson with a knee injury. And so this was one maybe we weren't expecting, but he's a veteran. That room is full of veterans, and I think that'll be just fine. But again, all these guys are still on the active roster, and the second that they get cleared, they are able to resume practice. It's not like they have to miss any set piece of time. All right, Gibbe, before we take a break, I see a note on here about Tequila Fela's room situation. What happened?
I don't know where he is.
We need him over here.
Could you brief me on the Tequila Fela?
So yesterday was Tequila Fela's 24th birthday.
I knew that.
Birthday.
Happy
That's
birthday.
how you start off. By
Happy birthday.
Sitting in a car with me for 6 hours.
Oh, baby.
I'm texting him right now to see where he's at.
Is that a boring drive?
Not when you have bodies with you. When you don't have bodies with you, yes.
Yeah.
Actually, going down's fine. It's next Friday when I'm driving home.
Yes.
And you're like, well, okay. How quick can I get through the state of West Virginia?
Yeah.
How can I get through the mountains? Shoot, where is his stuff? So we get here. Now, Fela last year we've got another hotel. We have people that are staying in 2 different hotels.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
So Fela, texting him right now. So Fela's first experience at the Greenbrier itself. So Fela gets here. And Connor and I drove down. The 3 of us all are together. Fela sends us a text. Like we get into our rooms. I find out I'm in a cottage. Pleasant surprise.
Yeah.
And this is in the hotel.
Yeah.
Tequila Fela.
Yeah.
Okay.
Connor's like, great. I've never been here because Connor didn't come last year.
Yep.
So he's all excited. Fela's like, hey, got a slight problem. And he sends us a picture, and he's like, I don't have a bed. And he sends us a picture of the room. And sure enough, there's no bed.
What?
Wow.
And I'm like, well, Fela, is there like another, like how many doors are in your, because sometimes the door is part of the whole, come here. Come here.
Yeah, here he is.
All right. Hey, happy birthday.
Yeah.
Go ahead and
Happy birthday.
go put that on over there.
Right there, Fela. Yeah, right there.
24
Yeah.
years
And
old.
get close so you can
24.
get on camera.
What a treat to be 24.
24,
Goodness
yeah,
gracious.
man.
I don't even
almighty.
want to talk about what I was doing at 24. It wasn't being responsible, that's for sure.
No, you were living, Gibby.
Wow.
You were
I
living.
get the headset.
Yeah,
Yes,
good.
yeah.
How about it? Is this your on-air debut?
I think so, with the headset and the mic and everything.
You
Do you have
gotta,
a,
be, you gotta be 24 to
Do
be
you
on
have
the
your
show.
union card yet?
Not yet. I might need one.
All right, so I've set up the scene, Fela. You
Okay.
sent us a text with a picture, and there's no bed. There's no
So
bed.
yeah, I'm setting up my PlayStation because that's obviously the first thing that I gotta get set up. And,
Smart.
Absolutely.
College football
so-
last night's amazing.
Yeah, so I start looking around. There's no bed in the room. The lady at the front desk said that I'm supposed to have a king-size mattress here. And
sense.
So
I
what's
mean,
is there just a blank space in the room where a
No.
bed should be?
So it's a couch, a little table, coffee table, 2 chairs, and then like a dining table. And I'm just like I'm like, there's got to be a bed because
It's a hotel room.
It's a hotel room. Like, at least give me a twin. I don't need a
Or a cot.
yes, something. And then I looked at the couch, and it's a pull-out couch. So I'm like, oh God, they want me to sleep on this pull-out couch for 10 days.
No.
So I call the concierge, and he goes, "Oh yeah, you're definitely supposed to have a bed in your room."
Yeah.
And they go to the he sends me to the front desk, connects me to the front desk, and she goes, "Hold on 1 second." Puts me on hold for 5 minutes. She goes, "Did you use the key to get in your room?" I said, "Yes, I'm in the room.
I'm in the room.
Yeah.
I'm in the room, and there's no bed in here." She was like, "Use the key to get into the other side of the room." I was like, "It's a lock and key. Like I don't have a key." So she was like, "Okay, we'll send somebody up right away to open it up for you." 30 minutes later, we're trying to go to dinner at 7:30. 30 minutes later, it's 7:45. I'm playing Ohio State, Michigan. I'm at halftime. I'm up 15-14.
Nice.
I went for two. And this guy unlocks the door. He goes, "Oh, I didn't know somebody was in here." I said, "I called.
Yeah.
I called you.
You're here to help me.
Yes, right.
Hopefully.
And he was like, "Oh, well, I got the room unlocked for you." I said, "Well, that's great." So I've got a master bed, and there's three toilets in the suite. I don't need 3 toilets, but there's
He
3
basically
toilets.
So you
has
have
a
a
secret
suite?
room.
Yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
a suite.
Wow.
It's like a master suite.
How about it?
I'm just hoping that I don't get somebody else with the same room number as me, and I have to share with somebody else. But we'll see.
I don't think so. I guess
don't
we'll
think
find
so.
out later.
We'll
but
find out once we get back to the
I
hotel.
like that. What a birthday surprise. He gets a suite.
Yeah.
Guys, you deserve it.
Yes,
You deserve
thank
it.
you. I
Fela.
appreciate
Yes.
it.
Yeah.
Thank
I
you.
love it. Yes.
Thank
well,
you, guys.
Thank you for coming on.
Yes.
Hey, thanks for
Illuminating
coming
us.
on the
Yeah.
show.
Yeah,
that
thanks
was
for
good.
having me.
Yeah,
This
that
is
was
awesome.
Fela's
Yeah.
texting us, and I'm like, we haven't been here for 2 hours, and we already have a problem.
I mean,
Yeah.
the heck with having Jerry Judy. I mean,
Yeah.
we're all set.
Hey,
we're ready to
thank
go.
you. Thank you,
Very
guys.
good. Well
Thank you.
done.
Well, awesome. Thank you,
Fela
guys.
equals ratings. By the way, Connor, we got to give Connor with a K special shout out. We're on the air. We got the cameras working. He was able to do this all. So bravo. And you're
Nice
the
going.
and he got me an on-off cough switch in the studio. So we're getting closer
Wow,
to
there you go.
being legit, which
Good.
is
Good.
phenomenal.
Good for you.
All right, so
And
we're
good for
off.
you.
Yeah, phenomenal for me. We are off and running here. The Browns will take the field in just about 80 minutes from now as they get ready to kick off 2024 training camp here at the Greenbrier. Nathan Segura, Jim Donovan will be back. When we come back, we'll go around the league.
All right.
Still to come on this show as well. We'll talk a little bit more about training camp, what we're looking forward to seeing, keys to success in 2024 as well, and then open up that mailbag. Mailbag Thursday presented by Cross Country Mortgage, the official mortgage partner of the Cleveland Browns. So get your questions in using the hashtag AskCBD. Nathan Segura, the voice of the Browns, Jim Donovan, Cleveland Browns Daily, live from the Greenbrier on 850 ESPN Cleveland. All right, welcome back to Cleveland Browns Daily. Nathan Segura and the voice of your Cleveland Browns, Jim Donovan, and we are live at the Greenbrier. People starting to mill around, bring things out as they get ready for the first practice of the Cleveland Browns 2024 training camp, which will take place just at about 2:50 here today. Before we go around the league, though, I have a question. Does your furry friend have what it takes to beat out the competition? Well, if so, enter the Dog Dash Sweepstakes presented by Milkbone for a chance to have your pup compete in the annual halftime dog races. Visit clevelandbrowns.com/milkbone to enter and check out more from Milkbone at your local grocery or pet supplies store. Nathan Segura, the voice of the Browns, Jim Donovan. We're going to go around the league now. Some of the headlines as other teams are in their camps. And we'll start with the Steelers. Justin Fields took the first team reps for the Steelers today. Russell Wilson dealing with a calf issue, and apparently he's thrown a couple of very nice deep balls that are making the rounds on social media, and people are already calling in Pittsburgh for a quarterback competition. Give Fields a chance.
You know, I like him. I like watching him. I liked him at Ohio State. I thought I liked him against us.
Yeah.
I thought he played very well that day. I was my heart was in my throat on the last throw of the day. Oh, my God.
And quite frankly,
oh, my God.
That should have been caught.
It should have been caught, no doubt about it. But I like him. I don't know. What do you think? I mean, when does he get his,
Here's what I'll say
his
about it.
proper time, his proper time?
Here's what I'll say. We were doing Browns Daily live on, I want to say, a Friday when Kenny Pickett was traded, and he was traded during 1 to 3.
He was literally traded at 250.
And I said, as soon as that happened, I go, oh, great, Fields is going to be a Steeler. That was my on-air reaction. And by the time we did a show on Monday, Justin Fields was, in fact, a Steeler. And was acquired for nothing. This is a first-round pick. This is a guy who got better in each of the seasons he was in the league. He showed flashes of greatness. He's electric with his legs.
Not in a great offense.
No, not in a great offense.
Not in a great offense.
And what was crazy about it is that nobody really offered around the league anything for him. And I have asked a lot of people and people that would be at the top of, decision-making trees for various teams. And the knock on him and the reason that, for example, his OC from Chicago last year is now the OC for the Raiders, didn't want him, wanted Gardner Minshew instead, is that when they scheme something up for him, the layups aren't layups. He doesn't necessarily – they could have the perfect call against perfect – and he just doesn't see what he should be seeing to deliver the football, and it was maddening to them. Could he make plays out of structure? Absolutely. And at times in structure, was he great? I think he throws a great deep ball. Absolutely. But it was that – there's clearly something, because I would think that would be somebody that you would take – the Raiders would be a perfect team to take a shot on him, right?
What always draws me – him to me rather, is the athletic ability.
Oh, my God.
The athletic ability,
the
ability to run and extend a play is big time. I mean, he is really an exceptional athlete. I mean, just a great athlete.
So he's been in the league 3 years.
Yeah.
His completion percentage went up every single year. His yards went up every single year. His touchdown to interception ratio went up every single year. His quarterback rating went up every single year. And then you add in to the running ability, which you were talking about. 2 years ago, he ran for 1,143 yards and 8 touchdowns, averaged 7.1 yards a carry. Last year, a little bit less, but still 657 yards, 4 touchdowns, 5.3 yards a carry. He is a dynamic athlete. He's not small by any stretch of the imagination. 6'3", 230 pounds. I mean, he's built solid. He's got a good arm. I hate that he is a Pittsburgh Steeler.
Yeah.
I absolutely hate it.
Down the road, is he the guy? Is he the guy in Pittsburgh?
I think that's why he has to play at some point, because you need to know whether or not you're picking up that fifth-year option. That fifth-year option's a big chunk of guaranteed money if you do decide to pick it up. So I think he's going to have to play, and quite frankly, I don't like it. I think that I still like Justin Fields a lot, and maybe I'm in the minority, and I know NFL evaluators don't feel about him the way that I do or you do or Bo does, because Bo and I have talked about this. We're like, I don't get it, but that's kind of how he's seen right now around the league. And the Steelers, why wouldn't you take a shot on it? I mean, it's no risk at all.
A very easy thing to do.
Yeah.
Just to give him a look, give him a good hard look.
For sure.
Let him get in your, in your company, in your locker room, and see how it all works.
And he's very magnetic and charismatic, and we know, as good as Russell Wilson has been, that he's a unique bird, to say the very least, and has been, polarizing in how he's been received in some of his locker rooms. So you wonder how that plays.
Nathan, I don't think not that we have played him a lot, okay? I don't think we have ever beaten Russell Wilson.
When he was with Seattle, I know they smoked us in Seattle when the game started by John football. Then he beat us.
He beat us here
in
too.
Freddie's year when we were up big at the half, and he had a huge comeback against us.
Comeback.
And then obviously in Denver last year.
Yeah, I don't think we've ever.
I'll look if it's more than those 3 games.
I don't think we've ever beaten him.
Well, we'll have to change that.
It's been a real problem.
Yeah, let's go. We'll go ahead and change that this year.
Not a persistent one, but I mean, it's been a problem that we have not been able to kind of really master him when he has played against us,
so
which is not a lot.
By the way, we had it right. We had the 3 games right. So 2015 in Seattle, they win 30-13. He goes 21-30 for 249, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. 2019, Browns were up big in that one. He leads them to a 32-28 come from behind win.
Oh my goodness.
295 yards, 2 touchdowns, rating of 117. And then last year, they win 29-12, throws for 134 and a touchdown. So his career against the Browns, 3-0, 678 yards, 67% completion, 6 touchdowns, no picks, rating of 115. So
The only thing I remember from 2015 is we had a Starbucks barista in our booth. And
one of the best.
Zagura and Casey had Skittles thrown at them.
Pelted.
For 3 hours.
Pelted with Skittles.
And I was still picking Skittles out of Casey's coat, like on the flight home.
And I remember Doug Baldwin went nuts in that game.
That was like a no contest.
No.
That was a no contest.
We were actually up 7-0. I didn't remember that.
Oh, no,
Manziel,
we took the lead.
Big play Gare.
Johnny Manziel.
Yeah.
Johnny Manziel played in that game. You're exactly right. I remember that.
And then it was 27-10 soon thereafter.
Yeah.
And we'll be right back.
Good.
We'll be right
We'll be right back.
I remember getting pelted with skills, and Marshawn Lynch didn't even play that game. Christine Michael was the starting running back for them. Yeah, big play Gare had a touchdown. He was our leading receiver in that game. Actually, our leading receiver in the game was Duke Johnson. Travis Coons was still kicking the ball for the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
Well, that was a big Dwayne Bowe game. 2 catches, 22 yards.
Is that the only Dwayne Bowe game?
I was going to say that might have been his biggest game that year.
That got him his varsity letter.
That did?
Yeah, he got his letter.
Who's the first player out here? We got players out.
We got players out here.
I think I saw
Cade York.
Yeah, Cade York out there.
And then we've got somebody in the bucket hat that I have not been able to identify yet. But, yeah, Cade York is out here.
Boy, you know who was out here while we were all eating lunch? Miles Garrett doing his legwork, back and forth, back and forth. The loneliness of the long-distance runner.
Yes, he was going back and forth. And how about you mentioned Cade York here, and obviously Dustin Hopkins gets the contract extension, which we're all very excited about, how well he played. But, it was a year ago we were here, and Cade York was the kicker of the Cleveland Browns, and if it weren't for what we would call a difficult preseason, to say the least, Dustin Hopkins isn't here.
I would say this, Nathan, that you and I in that booth down in Canton, it continued in Cleveland, Philadelphia, and then the final game against Kansas City. If we could have willed that ball
we tried
to get through those uprights, huh? I mean, come on. I mean, really. Yeah. I mean, we were on our knees, right?
Please.
Come on.
Give this kid some confidence.
Get it through.
Yep.
You can do it. You could kick the ball to Arkansas.
Yeah.
I mean, really. I mean, it was really it was tough to watch.
It was very tough to watch. And you know what? I've got to talk to him since he's come back, and I'm certainly happy
and
he's back.
How does he feel about it?
He's definitely in a good frame of mind. He knows that this is an organization that believes in him. That's why he was drafted where he was.
Right.
But I think that, Dustin Hopkins is a guy that feels like a great role model and leader and mentor for him, because Dustin Hopkins is very secure in obviously what he can do, but he kind of has that kind, gregarious personality. Remember when Cade was drafted, he really didn't have a veteran here to work with. It was like, you're the guy.
Yeah, you're
right.
The guy.
We drafted you, and he makes a 58-yarder for the win in Carolina in his first ever game. He's
a
a cult hero.
He was a phenom.
Yeah.
Remember in the preseason games, he would go out and warm up
from 70,
and people were like, YouTubing it and putting it on, TikTok or whatever. I don't know those.
It was
the
it
Bears.
carried our pregame.
Oh man, yeah, was just talking about his field
Yeah,
goals. Yeah,
That's
every
right,
time
yeah.
he came out, it was like, okay.
It's going from 70 yards out. Can he get it there? You know, it was unbelievable.
I remember
he was a phenom.
the preseason game against the Bears, and he put one in from 70 right in front of Cairo Santos, who is now
I
the
remember
Bears
that. Yeah,
kicker.
yes, I remember.
And I think Cairo Santos has been very, very good. Actually, it was funny. Mike Vrabel was on Pardon My Take, and he was talking about the kicker issues that he had, and one of them was Santos, and Santos missed 4 in one game with Tennessee in 2019. They cut him, and then he goes, he basically has gone to Chicago and hasn't missed a kick since. I think he's 113. He's made 91% of his kicks since he's become a Bear.
Wow.
So Vrabel was talking about. But I remember he hit that 70-yarder, and Santos was like, what the heck? And then tried a 60-yarder and came up like 5 yards short.
That's right.
And he's, man, he was
I
kind of
remember
shaking
that.
his head.
Yeah, that was a Saturday night game.
Yeah.
At the at Brown Stadium.
Absolutely.
Yep.
But it is good to see. It's good to see Cade back. And like I said, hopefully he, with Dustin Hopkins and Bajorquez and Hewlett, that consistency of that battery, hopefully that can be a good thing for him as he continues to develop.
Hopkins was so good.
So good.
So good.
So good.
I mean, and he arrived just before the opener, right?
For a 7th-round pick.
Yeah.
He was going to get cut by the Chargers.
Here we go.
And we gave him a 7th-round pick. And at the time,
we needed him
my
that
goodness.
day because nobody could score a touchdown. So, I mean, he was amazing that day. He was automatic.
We don't beat the Colts without him. We don't beat the Steelers the second time without him. We don't beat the Ravens was a game winner. He goes 8 for 8 from 50-plus on the season.
Yeah.
And he never missed inside of 40. He was 10 for 13 from 40 to 49, but he was just so good, and that to me is so awesome. And I love that he's back, and good for him and good for his family that they got that opportunity to sign that contract that'll keep him here. And that might be Dustin Hopkins actually out there with Cade York right now. He's got a nice – he's got a hat like yours on there. He's got the big, wide kind of sun hat.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. Other news from around the National Football League, Kirk Cousins has been medically cleared from his torn Achilles and will not start training camp on the PUP list. He will start training camp as the starting quarterback for the Atlanta Falcons, and I'm sure we've gotten at least one chance to talk about it. You give a guy $100 million guaranteed over the first 2 years. You then use the 8th pick in the draft to draft the quarterback of the future, who, by the way, is old coming out of college. Not Brandon Whedon old, but is older coming out of college.
Brandon Whedon.
And was oft injured throughout his college career.
Right.
And you have the 8th pick in the draft, and in 2 years in a row you draft a running back, who is very good, don't get me wrong, but you draft a running back, and then you draft a backup quarterback. Kirk Cousins got to be saying, what in the world is going on here?
And I understand all of that, but can anybody get money like Kirk Cousins?
Oh, baby.
I mean, all the way through his career, and it all started against the Browns as a Redskin.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he had a big, big game for RG3.
RG3
was hurt.
Yep.
He came in, and all they did was run the tight end bootleg all afternoon long. And the Browns could not stop it all afternoon, and that kind of launched him, and he gets amazing contracts.
That was in Cleveland, right?
It was
I
in
remember
Cleveland.
that game.
Yeah.
I remember that.
You know who had a great game that game, Jason? London Fletcher.
London Fletcher
you
tackling
know what else
machine.
happened? London's family got into a little
skirmish.
A little skirmish up in the crowd, that day.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm pulling up right.
That?
I do remember that. I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was 2012.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, in the past, this franchise has put some people, made some people some money, and put some people in the Hall of Fame.
No doubt.
I think Ed Reed.
I
should
really,
just thank the
I believe that kind of launched them to make the playoffs.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know, they made it that year.
Right. That was RG3, and then he came back.
Yeah,
and,
right. Exactly, yeah.
And then in 16 in Washington, he beat us 31-20. He started that game. That was the year where we had Cody Parkey, I think, just came in and missed some field goals and ended up 31-20.
Right.
So Kirk Cousins, at least we did beat him. We beat him back in 2021 in Minnesota, and Kevin Stefanski's return to Minnesota. All right, when we come back, still some more stuff from around the league to get to, some headlines from around the National Football League. The Browns now an hour away from the first training camp practice, and we are here at the Greenbrier in West Virginia to give you all the coverage. Specialists making their way out onto the field. Dustin Hopkins, Cade York, Charlie Hewlett, a staple of your Cleveland Browns. We'll be back with more CBD live from the Greenbrier on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Get set to have their first training camp practice of the 2024 season in just under an hour. The specialists are on the field as we speak right now. Cade York, Dustin Hopkins, Corey Bajorquez, Charlie Hewlett starting to put the ball in the air off of their feet as we speak. But, Jim, we're going to go around the league a little bit more, and there are a few things that have kind of come across my attention that I thought were very interesting. And you and I were sitting in there, and we were sitting next to Mike Vrabel, and we were talking about how great it is for the Cleveland Browns to have Mike Vrabel here. And it really is a remarkable thing.
It really is. I remember covering him in high school. Great player at Walsh Jesuit, and, of course, at Ohio State, and, of course, in the NFL. But it's amazing seeing him, and he is very dialed in.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he is really dialed in. This is not a vacation, hey, I'm going to, observe here. I mean, it was great.
No, he is certainly very involved. And, he did an interview on Pardon My Take, which I referenced. And in my travails getting home from Atlanta, I had a lot of time in the car to listen to podcasts. And so we listened to the full interview, and it was great. But he talked and in some ways broke some news about what he's doing. And so he is obviously working as a coach and he's a consultant to Kevin Stefanski. He's been working some with the tight ends with Tommy Rees because he's so young to the NFL, is coming off of being Alabama's offensive coordinator, only 30 years old. So he's been working with him. He's obviously working with the linebackers a little bit, working on special teams with Bubba Ventrone, who Bubba Ventrone was actually in New England with him, was a rookie with Mike Vrabel. And so they talked about that connection. And then he said that he's doing some projects as well with Andrew Berry and doing some projects for the Haslams.
How about that?
So I thought that was very interesting. And then the one thing he did say is he is going to do everything he can to help this team win as many games possible leading up to game days, but that they all decided together that it was the best for him not to have a role on game day because that's Kevin Stefanski's team. Their game day operation's been great. I don't want to muck it up.
I understand that. I said this to Bo when we were together the last time. The thing about Mike Vrabel and his teams, they were always tough.
Oh, yeah. They played hard.
They played hard. And they could go on the road, and they came here on opening day that year, but they can go on the road and they can win. Why can they do that? They survive, and they're tough.
They're tough.
And they out-tough you. So, I mean,
he talked about that.
He is really.
On that interview with them, they said, your teams are always in games because they are so tough, and you get them ready to play, and you have a game plan, and they play hard. And there are teams in the NFL that do not play hard week in and week out, and the teams that do and that have that physicality always have an opportunity to compete. And it was something he was very proud of from his time there with the Tennessee Titans. It's very clear that he will be in the league again, and I think part of what he's doing here is obviously learning from somebody very smart, obviously in Kevin Stefanski, learning from Andrew Berry, because I don't think he wants to be in a situation like he was in Tennessee where they're trading away A.J. Brown from him, and he wants to maybe have a little bit more involvement on that side.
Yeah, the other thing, Nathan, he lacked a quarterback, I think. I think.
Yeah, Tannehill was very good, but not
they were
great.
A number one seed one time at home, couldn't win, ended up losing the game, and Tannehill had a horrible game. I always thought he just lacked that.
They had to follow a very particular script to win.
I can imagine.
You know what I mean?
Right.
That was not – we can't get down and have big comebacks with Ryan Tannehill. You needed to run it with Henry, play great defense, and then hit some big plays off of play action. And they did that, to your point, very, very effectively as that number one seed. But you're right. He never had a top 10 quarterback at any point.
I mean, he had the running back.
Sure.
He had the receiver until they let him go. His imprint was his defense. And I just think that they needed that one guy that everybody needs, right?
Of
to
course.
get them over the line. And I always thought that Tannehill came up a little bit short in those kind of games.
When he had to throw it and they knew he had to throw it, that's when he struggled. And, Vrabel, obviously, Jim Schwartz was on his staff for a little while there as a consultant in Tennessee. So there's so many connective tissues. And he talked about basically when he talked about it with Kevin Stefanski, said, sure, I'll do this. Now, there was a similar offer made to another New England icon. Kyle Shanahan called Bill Belichick up and said, come be on you can do whatever you want. And Belichick turned it down, which I was honestly a little bit surprised by.
Yeah. What would he have done, though?
I think
what would he have done?
I mean, Vrabel's having the time
of
his life. Yeah, maybe.
I don't know if Bill Belichick would have the time of his life doing that, though. I think he's all involved.
Yeah.
I mean, I really do. I was surprised, though.
It would be fascinating, though, to have one of the best offensive minds, if not the best in the league, in Kyle Shanahan, along with the best defensive mind in the league, perhaps, in Bill Belichick, and what that would mean for the 49ers. And now Kyle said, I really wanted it to happen, but there was a part of me that was scared that he was going to know everything about what I was doing, and then what if he ended up coaching, not the Seahawks, maybe Mike McDonald's, one and done or something like that. What if he ended up in my division? But he said it was a risk we were willing to take because we wanted to have him on board. Somebody, I forget who I was talking to, but somebody said, maybe it was, I was talking with Gerard about it yesterday, that he thinks Bill wouldn't want to do that. Bill right now is going to go show the media world just how smart he is and how gregarious he can be and how captivating, and he thinks that's going to kind of make him more appealing to owner. I don't know why he's not appealing. I mean, I think his resume speaks for itself, but that would make him more appealing to an owner and a fan base.
I think it's the power that he wields naturally.
Oh, yeah.
That is intimidating to an owner, to a general manager. That you would really have to, have your ducks in a row to welcome him into your situation like that. So I was surprised. I was surprised to hear about it. Now the gregarious part.
We'll see.
That will be interesting.
He can.
That will be very interesting.
He's turned it on a little bit. He's going to be part of the Manning cast every week.
And Pat McAfee.
I believe
he's going to be with Pat McAfee. And he's going to be on the Inside the NFL.
Yeah, and I think he wants to. Plus, when you just hear him talk, you're going to say, "Oh man, how is this guy not running my team?"
When they did the 100 top players, he was tremendous.
Oh, so good.
I mean, he was the best at that. So I think that's where people went, hey, this is pretty cool,
Absolutely. I just thought that was, number one, I thought very cool of Kyle Shanahan to say, hey, whatever you want your job title to be, come in here and work with us. Yeah. And that interesting that he said no, because we're reaping the benefits right now. And I think Vrabel's saying how much he's enjoying it and how much he's getting out of it. And I think the Browns would all agree that they're getting a lot out of having Mike Vrabel here as well. A couple other notes from around the league. The Jets have placed Hassan Reddick on the reserve, did not report list. So you trade for a guy who it doesn't feel like wants to play for you. I don't get it. That's a pretty good Jets team.
Why would that not have been worked out when they make the deal?
He hasn't set foot in their facility since he got traded.
Why doesn't he want to go there?
I don't know. I think what it is I think it's the last year of a contract.
Okay.
So he's assuming that when you get traded in the final year of the deal, the thought is you're going to get some kind of extension or it will be paid forward. And this is not happening.
It's a loaded team and a loaded defense.
It's a loaded defense.
Yeah. I mean, he easily be another double-digit sack guy again there, as he has been basically everywhere in his career.
I just can't imagine that you wouldn't have had that worked out.
Yeah.
It's very odd.
When you get the deal done, that, okay, here's where we are. Where are you? We want this thing to go through pretty smoothly, so what are we going to do
Don't
here?
you think when you're trading for a guy like that, you talk to him, hey, are you on board with this? Are you going to
at least talking to the agent and be like, have you talked to your client? Is he good?
Right.
Yeah.
That's a stunning one.
That Joe Douglas, that better get right, That really better get right in New York. I know they get the pass last year because of the Rodgers, Achilles, but this is different. This is it.
I'll tell you what, as entertaining as the off-season Hard Knocks on the Giants has been for maybe not all the right reasons from their perspective, this would have been a fascinating one on the Jets with the trade for Hassan Reddick and then him saying, I'm not coming.
I'm not going to come, yeah. And Rodgers not coming to minicamp, right?
Well, very important things that were pre-planned at that
Yeah.
point. The Jags have unveiled new white alternate helmets that they will wear in Week 10. They look awesome. They've also announced they're wearing their Prowler throwback uniforms, which has the old school Jag on the shoulder. They're phenomenal.
Tom Coughlin.
Yeah, Tom Coughlin here. Mark Brunell.
Yeah.
Jimmy Smith. Keenan McCardle. Fred Taylor.
Was it McCardle or McCardell?
I think it was McCardell.
Yeah.
McCardell.
Yeah.
Former Brown.
Former Brown.
Former Brown.
Yeah, former
And he
Brown.
taught
he was a Belichick guy.
He was.
Yeah.
Did he spend some time in the Chargers at some point in his career? Wilhelm said he's the one who taught him how to cut his cleats so you could wear a size small, but you put these little incisions in it, and it felt better. And
we're going to go with that.
So we're going with that.
Yeah. He was a good player here.
Very good
was.
player.
He was a good player here, though.
Very good player.
Yeah.
Trent Williams has not reported the Niners for contract reasons. Ayuk is there holding in at
Now,
the facility, attending practices. And
Kyle Shanahan said no problem with Trent Williams.
I think
He'll be fine.
Yes.
Misses a week or
Chargers 2004 to 2006
Yep.
for
And
Glenn
then- Wilhelm.
Ricardo.
Is that when he came to the Browns then?
No, he was Browns 92 to 95.
Wow. See.
Wow.
He was in the NFL from 91 through 2007.
Yeah.
Wow.
They were a good team.
Oh, they were.
They were. I mean, they were good fast.
Washington, Cleveland, Jacksonville, then Tampa Bay, then San Diego, then Houston.
That's when you were able to actually put an expansion team together and have a chance.
Well,
I mean,
yeah.
those Jags and the Panthers were.
Second year, they're
Yeah.
both in a conference championship game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were very, very good. CeeDee Lamb not reporting as well. He's looking for a new contract. Christian Darrisaw, the Vikings left tackle, did get a contract, 4 years, $113,077,000 guaranteed.
Hey, I hope Lamb gets it September 9th.
Fine. Yeah, stay
Same.
away. Don't
Yep.
need it. Yeah.
Go ahead and
Yeah.
sit
Get a
out.
nice new deal September
Well,
9th.
sit out.
If you remember,
Take a breather.
and I think I have the story right from watching all these old, Football Lives and America's Game and all of those things. When Emmitt Smith held out 1 year with the Cowboys, they lost a couple of games, and then
Boom.
he got paid and came back and was off to the race. So
Yeah. There you go.
I wouldn't mind a little history repeating itself
problem.
there. Start
Yeah.
0-1, and then, maybe we do need CeeDee Lamb.
Take
yeah,
a week.
That's fine. Take your time. By the way, the National Sports Collectors Convention is at Cleveland's IX Center right now through July 28th, featuring 140 superstar athletes. Manny Ramirez, I'm going to say.
Oh, my God.
Yes.
Joe Montana.
Oh.
Floyd Money Mayweather, Allen Iverson. And I saw Lawrence Taylor was there. I saw some pictures.
Dan
of
Marino, Dr. J was walking through Cleveland yesterday. He's there. It is a who's who of.
Rovel's there. Rovel came in to buy some stuff, and he
Really?
bought a Wild Thing Rick Vaughn signed card.
So it was here in 2018. It's an amazing show just to walk through.
I would love
And
to have
from a
gone.
memorabilia standpoint.
Is Deke there?
I don't know. I know the top
He
dog
should
is
be.
there.
Wow.
I know.
He's there Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
Yeah, he's right. He's there the whole time, ready to go. But yes, if you're in town, go check it out. I mean, it's apparently
It's
incredible.
It is awesome.
So it's the first time it's been here in 6 years?
Yeah.
Wow. Go check it out. All right, when we come back, hour number 2, as we inch closer and closer, we're seeing
Hour
players
number
come
one
out
went
on
by
the field.
fast.
Time flies when you're having
Yeah,
fun, Jim.
yeah.
There we go.
There we go.
Hold on, today's Thursday, so we've got Thursday, Friday.
Segura, stop focusing on the fact that we're going to be
yeah.
here for
So we've
a
got
Let her
month.
ride.
We've got 13 hours more of Cleveland Browns Daily to do here from the Greenbrier, but we are rolling right now, baby. And it's, as always, brought to you by Ballybet. Only an hour into the show, and now they got it.
Woo!
That's
Yeah,
incredible.
wow,
Bravo.
that
And
was great.
that is true. It is
Yeah.
myself, Nathan Segura, and the voice of the Cleveland Browns, Jim Donovan. We are live at the Sports Performance Center at the Greenbrier in White Sulphur Springs, West Virginia. As those who are watching on the stream, you see the specialists out there, Cade York, Dustin Hopkins kicking some field goals, Charlie Hewlett, Corey Bojorquez, and, of course, special teams coordinator Bubba Ventrone, who we're told is at his playing weight, has no restrictions on that foot that was injured a year ago, I think here.
It was here. That's what I told him. I was like,
Yeah.
whatever you do,
Take it
do
easy.
not run 100-yard
He
sprints
was just
barefoot.
run sprints and a barefoot.
He would
Yeah.
run sprints barefoot, and he had a stress
Got
fracture.
a stress
Oh,
fracture,
my
yeah,
gosh.
right here at the Greenbrier. But he is in peak physical condition, and that is
He looks
a good thing.
at his playing weight.
Yeah.
He really does, yeah.
He said if
I mean,
it was
I remember him well, and he looks, minus the hair coming out of the back of the helmet.
That's right.
He does look. He is at his playing weight.
I love it.
Boy.
Love to see it. And Cade's
was-
hitting some bombs out there right now.
He was like an atomic bomb.
Oh, yeah.
So, no, Bubba.
Yeah,
playing.
missile.
Boom. Unbelievable.
Those are, and it'll be interesting.
Those were the days,
those were the
my
days
friend.
when you had to bust the wedge up and,
Right,
and get
that's
in there,
right.
and it was
Yeah.
a very violent thing. And now this kickoff is going to be much different. And I think the Browns are lucky to have Bubba, because I think the teams that are good at this kickoff in terms of returning it and defending it,
Yeah.
it's going to be a big advantage. Games are going to be won and lost on kickoffs, and I wonder at what point in the season our team's going to say, screw it, we'll just give them the ball at the 30.
How about that, though? It was such an irrelevant play. I mean,
It was almost gone.
a ceremonial play, right?
Yep.
And now it could be back, and like you said, how you do it, how you implement it, could cost you a game or win you a game, right?
I think I've done play-by-play for maybe 3 plays as you were coming back up from smashing the guitar in against the Pittsburgh Steelers. One of them was the kickoff. That was the easiest one I did. Ball's up, it's out of the back of the end
I
zone,
know.
and they will take
Yeah.
over first down and
Yeah.
10 at the 25. That was,
Now, has
that was as easy
Bubba
as it
got his own, thoughts about this?
Oh, he
His
certainly
own-
does, and I think he thinks it is going to be a big advantage. And you'll see while we're out here, and we saw it at minicamp as well. You're going to see defensive tackles out there. You're going to see offensive tackles out there. You're going to see big linebackers, but you're going to see offensive and defensive linemen be a part of this, along with the guys that you would normally expect. Your tight ends and your linebackers and some of your safeties and DBs. Guys that can run quickly and hit. But you're going to see some big bodies out there because it's much more like a run play than it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
It is now, you're going to have kind of this point where if you can kind of put your foot in the ground, and that's why the returners, it'll be interesting. Naheem Hines, has been so good as a returner, also a running back, but a guy like Pierre Strong, who has that kind of put your foot in the ground, one cut and go, he had a couple that he took back in minicamp, and I'm excited to see that. But yeah, he agreed with my thought that there will be a record set for kick return touchdowns league-wide this year.
Wow. Well, that's exciting.
That'll
It
be
really
fun.
is. Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought we were going down the road that it would no longer be in the game.
Just take it at the 25.
25-yard line. Here you go. You start out 1st and 10. So it would be fun. That's good. Adding to the game.
I think
adding to the excitement of the game.
Yeah, and adding to, a team that can master that, getting an advantage, that there will be some strategy. Obviously, look, it's a copycat league. Once you see some of the returns that work, we're going to get a lot of copycats around the league. But, that was one of the things I talked with Bubba about that I thought was interesting about this is you're going to have something, I'm guessing, that nobody has seen, and it's kind of when do you pull that out? What is the moment when it becomes big enough? And he decided last year, I believe it was week 6 in Indianapolis, when he was going to unveil Myles Garrett's ability to jump over the line against his former team and block a field goal. So that was something that had been in since before week 1, and that's the time he decided. So it'll be interesting to see kind of how that goes, when you decide, okay, I know we have a big return in us, let's use it here. But then we put it out on tape for everybody to see. That'll be fun. Still to come, we got the mailbag coming up, so get your questions in using the hashtag AskCBD. I know I've seen a few of them come through Gibbe, so we got some things there. Let's talk about this, Jim.
Yeah.
Keys to a successful 2024 season. And Gibbe has tasked us with putting together 10 keys for a successful 2024 season. And so we don't have to necessarily do them in order just yet. We can kind of just throw them out there. You can throw one out, I'll throw one out, and then we'll see if we can kind of put those together in some type of a list. But when you think of this season, what comes to your mind as a big key for this season?
Well, I would go 1 through 8.
You might go 1 through 9.
Deshaun Watson.
That's right. That's right.
The health of him, the ability to get a little bit, maybe a lot more comfortable in his game, in resurrecting that game, and his ability to be out there every Sunday.
Yep.
Because I think that's a worry.
It's massive.
And it was a big worry last year. And it was a big downer when it became the eventual thing that he wasn't going to be out there for the remainder of the season. So I think he is right at the top.
Yeah.
Right at the top.
I couldn't agree with you anymore. And I kind of gave him 1 and 2 in the sense that number 1 is Deshaun Watson's ability, right?
Yeah.
Availability. Can he be on the field for you? Can he play 17 games for you? And then number 2 is the performance. How does this new offense with Ken Dorsey, which he's very excited about, how does it actually mesh with what he's doing? Is he able to execute at the level we haven't seen him execute really since 2020? We've seen flashes against Tennessee. We saw flashes against Arizona. We saw flashes against Baltimore. But I'm talking about putting it together for, a season at a very, very high level.
Well, that will be fun because we know what Kevin did, what his offense looked like. We liked it,
yep.
Right? I mean, you like it. And now we're going to have variation, and we have a new set of eyes in there and a new voice. And that will be interesting to see, the differences, and how they look out on the field. And, are they going to be drastic?
Yes.
Or is it just something, that's going to be minimal and tweaked a little bit? And is it all centered around the quarterback?
I think you're going to have a lot more shotgun.
Yeah.
I think you're going to have a lot more 11 personnel. I think you're going to have a lot more pre-snap motion. I think you're going to have a lot more option routes and choice routes for receivers based on coverages that they see where they have to be on the same page with the quarterback, and that's why these reps are so important and so key that Deshaun's cleared and ready to go full. And I think you're still going to see some of Kevin Stefanski's concepts, especially in the run game, obviously. And you're going to see, some of that under center, back to the defense play action because it can be so successful. But that so far has not been necessarily what Deshaun's strongest suit has been. And so I think it's going to be much more tailored to what you've seen when you put on old Houston tape. Him in the shotgun, him making plays, and you went out and you've surrounded him. I'll put this as another one is, this receiving core being elite. Because with Amari Cooper, with Jerry Jeudy, with David Njoku and Elijah Moore.
And Tillman.
Coming up.
Yeah.
You should be very productive.
I agree with you on that. And I think that they, Moore, I would look for a big year from him. I think we got little snippets of him last year that, he was going to be the guy that they really liked, and they liked him even coming out of college. Yeah, I think that receiving core is going to be important. I'm interested in Tillman.
Same.
Because I thought he looked good in the spring.
He
looked bigger,
great.
stronger.
Faster.
I thought he looked, more, I think confident in what he was doing, play in, play out.
Yep.
Where I think at times last year he was getting, pushed onto the field because of injury. And, that was tough for him. That's a big jump.
It's a huge jump. And I think that, he was also coming off of a season with an injury, right? And I do think one of the other changes I think you'll see in this offense is last year, and a lot of credit to Kevin Stefanski because he's just so darn good at scheming things up, but plays were pretty much called for Amari Cooper or Chief.
Right.
And they got the ball.
Yeah.
And you saw Elijah Moore in that game against the Jets when Amari was the late stretch, stepped into that role, and guess what? He had, I think, 6 for 60 and a touchdown in the first half.
Yeah. Remember he had that big play where he
tipped and then he got it. Yeah, and then he scored the touchdown,
yeah.
which I know he was very excited about.
That was like his drive.
Totally. It was.
It
but
was.
He was in that role. I think this offense is not going to be as much of kind of when you think of Stefanski or you think of like a Kyle Shanahan offense where it's, okay, here's where here's the play that we've designed. Here's where the ball goes if they do this. It's going to be a little bit – obviously, you're reading the defense, and that's going to dictate where the ball goes, but I think the ball is going to be spread around a lot more. I think you're going to have certain games based on coverages. It's going to be an Elijah Moore game. Certain games, it's going to be a Jerry Jeudy game. Some games are going to be, obviously, a Amari Cooper game. Some are going to be Chief, and it's going to be hopefully giving the guys enough in the games that aren't, quote-unquote, their games that they stay happy. And, by the way, winning helps that happen.
So, on the other flip side of that, Nathan, where is the run game?
So
Where is the run game? And, of course, without Nick Chubb, or when will we get Chubb, but where is the run game? Where's the fit there?
So we have been a run-dominant team.
Yes.
I don't think we will continue to be a run-dominant team. I think this is going to be much more of a pass-oriented team. Now, that's not to say we won't be effective running the ball, because I think we will be. You've got, Jerome Ford, you've got Pierre Strong, and then I really like Deontay Foreman, who is going to be that kind of big Kareem Hunt-type power back, but he's got, at this point in his career, a little bit more left in the tank than Kareem in terms of his ability to get down the field and make big plays in addition to the short yardage stuff. So I still think you'll see running. I do think you're going to see a little bit more quarterback and, option out of the shotgun runs, but you will still have some of the staples of what Kevin Stefanski and Bill Callahan really orchestrated over the last few years that we're just good at. Bottom line is Joel Bitonio and Wyatt Teller are two of the best pulling guards in the NFL.
Absolutely.
You're not going to go away from doing those things.
Isn't that a great sight when you see 75 or 77 or both of them leading the way?
Yeah.
I mean, that is a comforting sight.
Post can do it
yeah,
when we
I
run
really
that
do.
pin
I believe
pull.
that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So I think you're still going to have all that in there. And I think it goes back to what you were saying in terms of points 1 and 2 is we're going to go as far ultimately as I think Deshaun Watson can take us. That's the league now. Yeah. We have an elite defense. We have got the skill talent. We are good in the trenches on both sides of the football. It's going to be, can our quarterback be, I think if he's top 12 in the league this year, we can win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I go back to our number 1, there are going to be those points in the game where it's going to be sitting there.
Oh, yeah.
And can he pull it out? Now, in his early years, no doubt about it.
Of course.
No doubt about it. But in this kind of recess of his career, this halt, you wonder now, can he find that again? And he's got a lot of tools with him.
Oh, yeah.
And he just has to break through, I think.
And
he's got to do it week to week.
And I think that's what was so hard is I think that Baltimore game, in many respects, was that breakthrough for him mentally. As much, I still can do this. You have to have that belief. So I think he's coming in a much better place right now mentally, knowing that he can do it, and I think we'll see that certainly on the field. All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back with some more keys, and we'll get into the mailbag. It's Mailbag Thursday here. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Ballybet, a sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns, now live in Ohio. Cleveland Browns single game tickets now. For all the great matchups at Cleveland Browns Stadium, visit clevelandbrowns.com/tickets or call 440-891-5050 to purchase today. Nathan Zagura, Jim Donovan, we are live at the Sports Performance Center at the Greenbrier in West Virginia. Mike Vrabel making his way onto the field along with a host of Browns players as we get ready here, Jim, 20 minutes away from the first training camp practice of 2024 for the Cleveland Browns.
Good to see them out on the field.
Yes.
Doing names and faces and reacquaintances. Looks good. Really, looks good. Nice day.
It is a beautiful
Nice
day,
and
little
cool.
overcast, cool,
not
little
humid at
breeze.
all.
I see Nick Chubb over there right now
Oh.
walking around, number 24 in the baseball cap there. He is here at the Greenbrier opening on the PUP list, though, so he will not participate in practice today. When he's cleared, then he will be able to participate in practice for the Cleveland Browns. But, yeah, it's good to see you. Number 2, Amari Cooper walking out right now with his helmet in hand, fresh off of the new contract, so that's good to see. Head coach Kevin Stefanski coming out also. And, I think we should throw this one in there, Jim, for the keys is we talked about availability and health of Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
Myles Garrett's got to stay. Myles Garrett is the reigning defensive player of the year.
Yeah.
Keeping him healthy, I think, is as important on the defensive side as it is for Deshaun Watson on the offensive side.
Well, he is such a game
Yeah.
controller,
Wrecker.
game wrecker, game changer. I mean, yeah, absolutely. Always has to be accounted for. Seldom can you account for him. Even if you account for him, you cannot hold him back. You can't hold him down.
No.
He changes the game. He really does.
He does.
And he changes it for the other 10 with him on that Browns defense. He really does. They really flourish when he is out there and getting all the attention that he deserves.
Yeah, and Za'Darius, he's healthy this year as of right now. We'll hope that stays through the season. You expect him to have a big year. Obo, Alex Wright came on so strong. You've got the interior pass rushers now. You added Mike Hall in the draft, Quentin Jefferson, who's got 11.5 sacks the last 2 seasons. And so all of a sudden, Myles is there. And, you saw the list that ESPN compiled where they talked to all the executives and the coaches, and It was such a consensus that he was the best defensive end or edge in the game. And basically, one of the coordinators said if you don't double him on every play, he will ruin the game.
He'll ruin the game, no doubt about it.
Love it.
People, they realize that. And then, like I said, the other guys on that defense, they really flourish because of that.
I still think what we saw against Tennessee, and we need to ask Vrabel about this at some point, but when he motioned as a defensive player, when he was motioning, and all of a sudden you have 2 tight ends following him from the right side, and he's like, well, I'm going to go run back over here to the left side. I'm going to just toy with you a little bit. And it was funny. I was talking to Za'Darius, and Za'Darius like, get away from this side. This is my side. Let me rush from over here. You relax there. But, Myles obviously a huge part of what the Cleveland Browns do on defense. And, on the back end, Juan Thornhill coming off that calf injury that he said plagued him all year. Delpit had a season-ending injury. Getting those guys back is huge.
Delpit, that injury, I thought really hurt them, and it hurt them in Houston.
Very much so.
I really thought it really hurt them in Houston that day. I really believe that he needed to be there.
Yes.
And when they lost him late in that game at Browns Stadium, Bears or Jaguars?
Bears.
Was it Bears?
Which one was first? I'm trying to remember. Jags. I think it was Jags then.
They lost an awful lot.
Yeah, because Anthony Bell had the pick at the Bears.
He was having a great year.
Great
at that
year,
point.
and that's why he got rewarded with
absolutely.
the contract extension. He looks great, by the way. He's out here, and so this team right now, for the most part, healthy. The guys that they're surprised, with Greg and Dalvin not being ready to go at the beginning, but you didn't expect Nick Chubb. Conklin and Jed Wills will be back sooner rather than later. It's just a matter of time to recover from their injuries. But you're in a good spot with this football team, and it's going to be fun to see, everybody out here and putting it together. And you always talk about year 2 in a defense. It gives Jim Schwartz the opportunity, I think, to add more wrinkles into things, and guys are just going to be more comfortable playing faster.
Now, what would you think Jim would want to improve on from last year? What do you think the Browns defense would really want to improve on from what they did last year, which was very, very good.
Yeah, I'll give you a couple things,
Yeah.
and maybe they're just statistical anomalies, but it was a fact that last year in a very small sample size, we were a significantly better defense at home than we were on the road. Now, some of that has to do with the quarterbacks that you play. Some of it has to do with the noise, and so maybe your get-off isn't as good on the road as it is at home because the line, is not – they are quiet for the home offensive line, but that's part of it. Number two, we were not great in the red zone, and I think that's probably the most important thing to get better at is between the 20s, we were the best defense in the league by a wide margin, but in the red zone, we were not an elite defense last year.
Why do you think that was? I mean, it's a very good secondary.
It's great line, great
line. Pressure.
It's a very strange. It was just a strange thing, and sometimes teams make plays, and it's a condensed area. And I think the third thing that you'd want to work on is maybe not being. And predictable is not the right word, but not being. When you come out of the Houston game, what we did to go to Houston is we said, this is who we are, and this is how we're going to play, and they took advantage of that in some cases, especially with the inexperience we had at safety, to your point, with, we're starting Ronnie Hickman and DeAnthony Bell.
Right.
McLeod was out at that point too. I mean, it was you lost your top three safeties. So I think, maybe mixing in certain cases some more zones just to create a little bit of confusion with the quarterbacks. But we've got great man corners. You're going to play man, and I think you're going to be who you are. That's the identity of this football team. But I think those are really the things. I think if you can clean up the red zone and turn sevens into threes, we become even better and we win more games.
How would you say they were third down, getting off the field?
The
right
best.
There, right?
Yeah, the best.
Absolutely.
Yeah, an elite third down defense. And that's the thing, it all goes hand in hand, right? If you're winning football games and our offense is putting points on the board and teams are getting in situations where they've got to throw the football to compete with the Cleveland Browns, that's a field day then, because our corners know the ball's got to come out quick. Our line is going to be able to get there. We're going to be able to have, at times, 4 defensive ends on the field if we want to put Miles and Alex Wright inside with Obo and Za'Darius outside, or bring Za'Darius inside and put Miles outside. We're going to be able to have Mike Hall, who at times was so dominant at Ohio State, that quick step to get to the quarterback. You got Jefferson, who's got, as I said, 11.5 sacks the last 2 seasons. If we can get teams in those type of situations, all of a sudden this defense is going to be incredible.
And Michael Hall will come in under the right way, right?
Oh, yeah.
The rotation guy.
Totally.
Come in, play that way, get your plays in.
My guess is he's going to come in and be, the job that I think they would like him to earn would be to be a sub-package pass rusher, to be a guy that comes in an obvious passing situation, and it's get upfield and get to the quarterback, which he can do incredibly quickly and so dominantly. And here comes, this is a beautiful sight. Our guy DeJuan Jones jogging out here, number 79, looking great.
Yeah.
What a mountain of a man as we are here in the mountains of West Virginia.
Nathan, he looks in very
great.
good shape.
He is in great shape.
Look at him.
Look at him.
There. Yeah.
My guy, there he is.
Go. Yeah.
There he is. He
Way
was
to go.
dancing in the rain in some video I saw in a Guardians jersey.
I think he was outside of the hotel downtown.
Yeah, he looked phenomenal.
Yeah, he was living his best life.
All right, let me give you another key.
Okay.
The offensive line and those tackles.
Yep.
Can they stay healthy? Because when they start to go down, and invariably it happens, but
Sure.
when they start to go down, it's a difficult thing to, put a patch on.
And I think you go back to that Houston game, we talked about kind of just some of the things that we had been able to get through all year and survive, all kind of came to a head.
Batonio goes
Inexperienced
down.
secondary.
Batonio goes down.
He's down. We're in our 5th and 6th tackles at that point in a playoff game.
Right.
Flacco had thrown some picks. It all just kind of came to roost in what ended up being a very ugly game for the Cleveland Browns. But I'm with you. The offensive line, and I think it's beyond that as well. It's, Joel is no spring chicken, and there is wear and tear on his body. Wyatt, and that's why I think they went out and drafted Zach Zinter, because they need a guy who could step in potentially this year, but also you got to have the natural idea of succession planning going forward as we pay our guards, 2 of the top guard salaries in the National Football League.
Boy, what a quality kid that kid is.
Oh, he's awesome.
Center.
Yes.
Huh?
That's
wow.
He just feels like talking to him, being around him, that feels like a guy that you draft, much like a Joel Batonio, where you're like, okay, this guy's just going to be a starter for a decade in the National Football League. And it's great to see Joel Batonio out there. I see David Njoku in the T-shirt over there joking around with Nick Chubb. Batonio making his way out on the field now in the Guardian caps. We got to get our Guardian caps updated. Apparently around the league they've got skull caps on them that make them look like the team's helmets. So we need to get that out here with the Cleveland Browns.
Kind of a faded white.
That's right. And we'll call it an off-white here. An off-white for the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, cream.
A nice cream.
Yeah.
An eggshell. All right. When we come back, we will open up the mailbag. The Browns will be on the field 12 minutes. Guys making their way out now, but practice officially begins in 12 minutes here from the Greenbrier. Nathan Zegura, Jim Donovan, you're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Ballybet. I mean, it's incredible. Gibbe, what do you got? You got the voice guy just hanging out at your whim? At your beck and call?
Thanks to Kevin's help. A lot of work going on behind the scenes, guys.
We got full-on rejoins. We
Bravo,
are live at the Greenbrier. Bro,
well done, yeah.
Listen, they got it in time before practice began. I'd say that's official. That's a very, very good job. Practice quarterbacks out here. We see Deshaun throwing as along with Jameis Winston, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, and Tyler Huntley.
I don't think Jameis left. I feel like Jameis has been here the entire summer.
In the Greenbrier?
No. I mean, in Berea. Like, I don't think he was there every day.
Maybe he was.
I mean, the team was on,
Sabbatical.
shutdown.
Yeah.
Sabbatical.
That's a nice way to put it.
Yeah. I love that
yeah,
word.
I saw him. And, like, the first day we could come back in the building, he was there.
There he was. There he is. And so we're going to get ready here in about 6 minutes. But now it's time to bring Gibbe in. Well, Gibbe's already in.
Let's go rapid fire.
Little Mailbag Thursday presented by Cross Country Mortgage, the official mortgage partner of the Cleveland Browns. When it comes to financing, we always get you home. Visit ccm.com today. Allow me to pay the bills. Equal housing opportunity, NMLS 3029. Gibbe.
All right. Whatever we don't get to today, we're gonna do maybe a little bit every day.
Right.
We'll do some segments every day where we take your questions. Matt Schertz, do Nathan or the voice have any superstitions on game day?
I do. I'm
excited. I like this.
I do now. Yeah. When I'm driving down, when we're at home, when I'm driving down, I listen to Mass on the radio. From St. Patrick's
I know you're a big fan of radio.
St. Patrick's Cathedral in New York. I listen to it.
Really?
Yeah, and the Cardinal there, Cardinal O'Connor, he is saying the Mass, and it brings me kind of some peace that we're going to be all right.
I love this.
Yeah, I do it.
I love it. I didn't have that on the bingo card. No.
Sirius
Cardinal
129.
Is that what it is?
The Catholic channel.
Love the Sirius app.
How about it? I like that.
I have thrown you for a loop.
You have. By the way, I know St. Patrick's Hill, but I don't know the name of the cardinal who's presiding over the mass. So I've learned a great deal today. Interesting.
Yeah.
So mine is if for example, although it hasn't worked out at times, but I will wear, when we went to Houston on Christmas Eve and we won, I wore the same outfit exactly for the playoff game, so it didn't win. So I've tried to do some things like that, good luck outfits. If I have a few outfits that I feel like have been pretty successful, and I'll roll with them until obviously we get a loss.
Well,
but that's
Our good friend Rick Amador with the logjam at defensive tackle. Do you see them keeping Ika, Shelby, Dalvin, Hurst, and MH Jr., or is 4 the number? I don't know what the number is.
So
right
I
now.
think
we were talking. You thought.
I think it'll be 5.
5 would be.
I think it'll be 5, but he didn't even have Quentin Jefferson in there, and I think Quentin Jefferson is probably a pretty good bet to make this team. I think you're looking at ultimately. I'll throw Jefferson in there, but I think I think Dalvin and Mike Hall are absolutely in. I probably think Shelby and Quentin Jefferson are in, and then it could be Ika or Maurice Hurst for the last spot. I love Maurice Hurst.
I do too.
So I'm going to say I'm going to look at it a little differently. We'll say those two. I think for 3 spots you have Shelby, Quentin Jefferson, Maurice Hurst, and Siaki Ika.
When healthy, Hurst makes plays.
Oh my God,
boy does he!
He really
does.
Yeah,
I love
big
him.
times. At big
I
times.
love him. Big fan.
BK, what position groups are you most excited to watch during this training camp and preseason?
I am excited to see the wide receivers.
Same.
I really am. I'm into looking at Judy, and to see the development of the others. Elijah Moore. We know what we have in Cooper. Tillman, David Bell, people like that. Anybody else that kind of pops in there. But I think the wide receivers and how they'll be used in the offense.
I like that, and I'll throw another name in the wide receiver. I always love seeing Jalen Darden this time of year because he usually shines here in the shorts, and hopefully he can stay healthy. But the guy, Matt Lander, 6'4", out of Arkansas, has bounced around the league, some time with Seattle, Carolina, but he can flat out run, and he made a lot. I think 7 was the number I was told by a high-ranking Browns football official, that he had 7 catches of more than 50 yards in OTAs and minicamp. And so I'm curious, can that keep going? Can that keep going? Oh, but bringing him back. Retired. He's only here with us now. Yes, indeed. I'm curious about that. And then the other I'd say was, and this is a passing camp in many ways, seeing the corners. I really want to see the cornerback room because I think we feel, the top 4, and I'll throw Cam Mitchell in as number 4, I think are pretty set. Beyond that, though, you have, again, fierce competition. Tony Brown is here, who is a good corner and a great special teams player. Justin Hardy back in Cleveland. He is a great special teams player. Khalif Halassi was on the 53 all year last year, and they think is an elite young man corner.
A guy we kind of found in the last preseason game
against
at Arrowhead.
Kansas City.
Took
him right off there when they cut him. They thought they were getting him back, and we signed him to the 53. And we drafted Miles Harden, who was out of South Dakota in this year's draft. So if you think about 4 plus 4, that's 8. The max you can keep is probably 6. And here we go. Those are the sounds of training camp 2024 stretching about to begin. There's your guy JOK bouncing around over there. Jim, number 6, your favorite.
Gosh, I love him. Love you.
How could you not? How could you not?
So good. Let's see, real quick. David Gray, in our final minute here, rank these candidates, Zagura, from most to least likely. 1 being the most likely, 4 being the least, for being stuck in the Atlanta airport with you for 3 days. Yours truly, Jeff Jarrett, Bo's dad, or Pedro. And when do you start walking home?
So who do I want to be stuck with me in order?
Yeah. Most to least likely, yes.
Well, I mean, I have no problem. Bo's dad, I'd be very nervous around, I think, because he's very much like the Marlboro man, kind of running a ranch out in Montana. He seems to be a very old-school guy who might not have any time for any of my nonsense. So I'd be very nervous to be with Bo's dad. My own dad would be, I think, he would be a handful. Double J is, while he is a dastardly man, our conflict is resolved. I came out victorious, and I can say that he's a fine, fine human being. And then I'd love to be with you, Gibby. We'd have that. It wouldn't be dull.
I'd be fine.
Yeah.
The Atlanta airport entertains me.
My dad, you, or Jeff Jarrett would all be great. Bo's dad, I'd be very nervous about.
Nathan, that whole adventure.
Oh my goodness.
Sounds like a movie.
It was.
Huh? Doesn't it? I mean,
people are still stranded.
It was like something out of a horror movie. It was a pretty wild scene.
All right.
I got a camera.
We'll start sprinkling in some more. I know Bobby sent us a bunch, so we'll have a little fun tomorrow with it as well.
Bobby came out to the wrestling show. He came out there and supported me, Bobby. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
I was hiding from him.
Bobby's the best. Don't need to hide from him. All right.
I really wasn't.
Browns are on the field stretching, practice beginning imminently. That really means the 2024 season is underway here at the Greenbrier. Nathan Zagura, Jim Donovan. So much more to come on Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Ballybet. All right, stretching is happening. We got some Browns working off to the side today. D'Anthony Bell, Nick Chubb, Myles Garrett, Cam Mitchell, Jerry Jeudy, the Chief. Although the Chief looks to be in fine spirits. Again, a lot of those guys not on the pup, so just taking it easy as we ease our way into action here at the Greenbrier Gym. So here we go, right?
Here we go, Nathan. We are ready to go. We are watching every move that it makes. That's what happens when the Browns open up training camp. Everybody, you look at every possible thing that can happen. Put it underneath the microscope.
All right. Well,
good day. I had a lot of fun.
Yes, it's a great time flies when you're having fun. We're just getting started here at the Greenbrier. The Browns training camp is just getting started, and we will have a ton of coverage for you here live. We are on site. We're the only radio show to do that. We will bring you everything from Browns training camp at the Greenbrier. We'll be back again tomorrow at 1 o'clock for the great Gibbe. For the voice of your Cleveland Browns, Jim Donovan, I'm Nathan Zagura saying thanks for listening to Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Bally Bet.